Hi there, and welcome to She Spice. Isn't it wild how a portion of those enormous names from our experience growing up appear to have quite recently evaporated from the spotlight? Like recollect Chris Exhaust, he was wherever during the 90s and mid-2000s making us laugh uncontrollably in films like Friday and The Busy Time series, however, at that point, it's like he recently vanished, and we were undeniably left thinking about what befell Chris Exhaust. Well, it appears we could at last have a solution to that secret. Obviously, there's deep discussion circumventing that Chris Exhaust could have been boycotted from Hollywood. And get this, the wellspring of the talk is apparently from, in all honesty, Jackie Chan himself. I mean, those two were basically indistinguishable on screen for quite a long time, so assuming anybody would be familiar with Chris Exhaust's circumstance, it would be Jackie Wright. It's crazy how Hollywood functions at times regardless of how gifted you are. They can simply drop the boycott bomb on you, so what's going on? With this entire boycotting adventure, we should make a plunge now. The unique pair of Jackie Chan and Chris Exhaust in the Busy Time flicks was unadulterated enchantment. Right. I mean, they just clicked despite the fact that there were some language obstacles from the start and Jackie wasn't completely sold in general thing yet. Man, did they make it work their science. On and off screen was out of this world. And they've pushed that kinship along solid since you realize Chris was really the first to come Amit to the Busy Time train with his satire chops and down-toe energy. He was the ideal fit, and afterward. There's Jackie, he wasn't precisely bouncing for satisfaction. At first, I mean, he'd had a few harsh encounters with his past American movies, so he was naturally reluctant yet, when the chief, by planes off to South Africa, just to persuade you, well, how might you express no to that? Right, Jackie Chan and Chris Exhaust weren't precisely a perfect pair when they originally collaborated, like tech. Hey, were all out opposite energies by the way they acted, and surprisingly, their characters leading Chris wasn't excessively excited with Jackie's English abilities. I mean, we should confront it, Jackie's English wasn't precisely first-rate in those days. However, Chris acted the hero and helped him out with his English, and afterward, there was the entire issue with Chris simply wanting to blindly go for it and ad-lib lines on set. Jackie, then again, was tied in with staying on track, so you can envisage. There were a few conflicts there at first. Jackie was presumably similar to what is this person in any event talking about. However, later, sometime Jackie began to get the hang of Chris style. Like my chief Jackie, the film is truly really great for you. I comprehend, you know. And Chris, I just have. Then after he left, then I asked my man, what in blazes are you discussing? The initial segment of Busy Time was drawn out in making, and, surprisingly, after the film was delivered, Shan was disturbed. He had gotten back to Hong Kong at that point and anticipated the debut there. The film did rather ineffectively. At the Asian film industry, Chan whined to his director, atoning the choice of having gotten back to the US movie market. However, at that point, a couple of days after the fact, he got a call from the US specialist who educated him regarding the record-breaking presentation of the film at the overall and US film industry. Busy Time had achieved for him what over 30 years of motion and pictures didn't accomplish, a strong balance with the US crowd. Chan didn't lose the significant role that Exhaust had played in his climb, and in his book Never Grow Up, he laid honors on him. Stimulated by the progress of the film, Chan currently moved back to the US and later returned to the job in 2 spin-offs in the establishment, the 2 of which were fruitful. Jackie Chan and Chris Exhaust became companions and have kept up with their relationship. No doubt, it absolutely appears legit that Jackie would toll in about Chris' alleged boycotting. There are likewise murders circumventing the fact that Chris got the boot since he needed to change gears and tackle more adult jobs. So back in 1995, Chris Exhaust collaborated with Ice Shape for the famous flick Friday. You know, Exhaust brought the house down as Smokey, one of his most unbelievable jobs. However, at that point, the spin-off Next Friday moved close to 5 years after the fact that something was missing. Smokey was mysteriously gone. Individuals were scratching their heads, one asking why such a major person was MIA. It turns out that after the principal Friday exploded, Exhaust was approached to bounce once more into Smokey's shoes for the continuation. However, think about what he passed. The person who shook the job that procured him AMTV Film Grant selection for Best Advancement Execution chose to pass on this one, so why in the world would he do that? Well, Ice Shape let the cat out of the bag during a visit. On the full SEN web recording, clearly they were prepared to toss a cool $12 million Exhaust method for getting him ready for action. Yet old Chris had different plans. He said no really great explanations. He would have rather not been dropped F-bombs or puffing on the green stuff on camera. Any longer you'll hear one. Unique stories. However, we needed to pay him $12 million to do that film, and he turned it down. Icebox shared. He said it was for strict reasons. He proceeded with he would have rather not cussed, and he would have rather not partaken in weed. On camera, actually, definitely. He turned it down. Better believe it. We needed to pay him $2 million to do that film. He said it was for strict reason. And he would have rather not cussed, and he didn't have any desire to partake in ganja on camera. So Chris Exhaust at long last chosen to shout out about why he gave the disdainful attitude to the following Friday continuation. And let me let you know it's not only a simple strict thing as per him. Clearly, Exhaust needed to shift gears and begin catching jobs that had a more uplifting tone. Furthermore, no doubt his confidence had an impact in it. However, it wasn't the possibly reason. See, when his lit up Labuddy came into the image, Exhaust concluded he needed to get it together. In a real sense, he would have rather not been dropped swear words left and right, particularly with his child around. So he began moving his concentration towards projects that weren't about the Snickers. He said a great deal of my not cussing began when I had a child. I heard my more youthful self on a tape cussing once and just felt like I needed to improve, and afterward, it got out that individuals said I wasn't cussing now more at all. They could accept anything they desire to accept, however. It's possibly going to improve me in the event that I could be entertaining. Without cussing, each two words interesting is amusing. I was never a raunchy comic, yet I didn't contemplate what I was talking about in light of the fact that I was young. Being a Christian assists me in satire. When discussing other stuff, Exhaust made sense because ordinarily most comics discuss simple stuff, perhaps cussing or saying something raunchy. I need to dig further to find something still entertaining and not raunchy. It's harder. I liked the tests he kept giving in those days. I got to explain to you that one reason why I didn't do the subsequent one was a direct result of the weed. I said, man, that film turned into a peculiarity. I don't need everyone partaking in weed, and I never truly let individuals know this since I sort of disregarded it. However, it was one reason why I didn't do it, since I said I would rather not address everyone partaking in weed. One reason why I didn't do the second one in light of the weed is that, as I said, man, that film became marvelous. I don't need everyone. I don't need everyone to partake in weed. I never truly let individuals know this, since I sort of overlooked it. Now, this is all absolutely fair, right? I mean, each entertainer out there needs to make a splash and hotshot their reach. However, here's where it gets muddled. It seems like Hollywood had different designs for Exhaust. On the road, they fundamentally let him know there was no satire and no jobs. And after the busy time, buzz subsided. It seemed like exhaustion just evaporated. Like a phantom, with no motion pictures and no television appearances. A few fans feel that since Exhaust needed to direct his profession in a more full-grown direction, Hollywood chose to push him into a corner to add to the mayhem. Exhaust endured a hotshot in his total assets because of a few terrible maneuvers that wrecked desk work and obligations. He neglected the Hollywood celeb who saw millions get away hauling his general abundance way down when busy time exploded big time. Exhaust was doing very well with a stunning $20 million payday for the continuation, and that is not all. He caught a few awesome arrangements for busy time. 3-2 scoring being a fat piece of the movie's profit. We're talking more than $60 million in agreements during his prime with a cool $50 million just from the busy time establishment. However, at that point, things took a tragic development. See, Exhaust ran into loads of cash inconvenience thanks to a blend of terrible choices and IRS inconvenience debt. And Knightley turns out he owed Uncle Sam a strong total and neglected charges beginning from way back in 2011. By 2014, that number had expanded to a stunning $14 million, and on the off chance that that wasn't sufficient, Exhaust likewise found himself in steaming hot water. With some land bargains turned sour. As a matter of fact, he directly up conceded in 2014 that he was battling to earn a living wage. In 2014, he figured out how to settle a robust $2.5 million duty bill with the IRS, yet his reps rushed to put it on unfortunate bookkeeping and business. The executives yet quick forward to November 2021. And it's like a sensation that this has happened before. Once more, the IRS was once again close to home, this time requesting an astounding $9.6 million in back charges. Fortunately, even amidst this monetary mayhem, Exhaust actually had a couple of resources he could grip onto, like his lodging down in Georgia. However, it's not all destruction and misery for Exhaust. On the road, his vocation is on the rise again, in the wake of being Maya from the big screen for what felt like ages. He at last got back in the saddle in the game's show, air hobnobbing with significant burdens like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and get this, he's in any event, preparing for the hotly anticipated. Subscribe She Spice for more videos.